fucky. The fast hidden is like slightly less fast, but also like a bit more fucky.
Ooh, ad break.
Ad break. Ad break. Oh, starting stream. I should shut up.
Hello? Are we live?
I have no clue. We might be. We might just be like sitting here in
Oh
silence.
yeah, we are absolutely.
We are live? Alright, sick. I've just been
Hello.
breathing heavily into my mic.
Right. Hello everyone. Welcome to the start of the weekend, which means the start of EGTS round of 32 matches. We've got a pretty banger of a match today. hz404 going up against Shamarin. Kasumi, don't. Not right now. I am Wadzi. I'm joined alongside my friend Bronze Crank. How are you doing?
I am doing good. I'm excited to see this match. We got a pretty banger winners match for y'all today. hz404, the 7 seed, versus Shamarin MZK, the 26 seed. Both these players got 5-0 sweeps in the last round. And I think both of them look really, really scary here. hz404, I think, as is custom for like the top seeds in this tourney, just has been putting up absolute monstrous performances. But I think Shamarin MZK could take some points off. I think they have what it takes to challenge them on some of these picks, some of these hidden picks, some of these free mods maybe. I'm very excited to see how this goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they're both very high caliber Japanese players. So with a pool of this skill level, I definitely could see, either or taking points away from each other. And now, I mean, hz404 is very, very consistent and very monstrous across the pool. But again, like you said, Shamarin is no slouch either. And it'd be... It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to see a couple of picks that Shamarin gets going to Shamarin, and we may even see breakpoints as well. We'll just have to see how it goes with Shamarin banning DT1.
It's an interesting ban. Last week they banned out Hard Rock 2, and I think Hard Rock is Shamarin's weakest mod, though they also looked a bit shaky on DT1 in qualifiers, and possibly they feel more comfortable on this week's Hard Rock 2 than maybe last week's. We're waiting on hz404's ban. They banned out Nomad 1 last week. I wouldn't be too surprised to just see a Nomad 1 ban here again, banning out probably the most coin flippy maps, or coin flippy kind of map in the pool. We're actually going to see Hard Rock 1 getting banned out here. That is interesting. I would put hz404 as being a pretty solidly in favor on that Hard Rock 1. But if they don't feel comfortable on it, they don't feel comfortable on it at the end of the day.
I mean, definitely, despite, similar vibes to the pools, it is a little bit of a jump in difficulty, and I believe that the picks are tooled just slightly differently as well, now with the addition of the 5th Nomad, as well as, just a sort of progression of the pools as a whole. So things could definitely be different for the players outside of statistics, and it's entirely possible that just playing Hard Rock 1, HZ was like, you know what, this ain't it.
Yeah. Now HZ going to go off to their first pick here. Lots of stuff to go towards, and I'm not exactly sure what they want to go towards first, because I think they have just an overall I think they have an overall advantage in a lot of this pool, and it's going to come down to what they felt the most comfortable with in practice and what they feel like can give them the greatest advantage here. I'm curious, and it's going to be free mod 1. There it is.
Alright, Meltdown Showtime.
Starting off right away with a custom song. That's pretty hype.
We love to see it. We love to see it. I feel like this will be pretty standard fare, I think. HDHR from the side of both players, and it'll essentially just be seeing who's going to get more accuracy and consistencies. OD 8.7 isn't terribly high, but it still gives both these players the opportunity to potentially drag or rush certain patterns. Hi, 6 boxes.
Hello, 6 boxes. Yeah, I think this is easily the comfiest of the free mods, so like you said, definitely expecting, and there it is, hidden hard rock on both of these players here, and both these players have the potential to put up really good hidden hard rock scores as well. It is gonna come down, I think, to just a handful of 100s between these two players.
Right. And right now, I mean, it's tough to call out UR so early into the map because getting into the swing could always be difficult, but here we see HZ with, I mean, sub 60 at points where we now see Shamarin sort of leveling out at 72, which, I mean, as long as you're playing within the center of the timing window.
Oh!
Okay.
Oh!
Whoa, whoa, that's...
Whoa, 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 whoa!
That is a much bigger miss.
Yeah, okay, so let's figure out what just happened here. Shimmer and MZK dropped 3 misses along with a bunch of 100s, immediately followed by hz404, dropping a huge set of 8 misses there, though no 100s. Accuracy lead and a bit of a combo lead in Shamarin's favor, but that's not translating to that much of a score lead as a result of those 100s.
Yeah, because I mean the accuracy difference is about 0.2%, which realistically isn't that much considering both players missed at around the same time. It's just that it must have been a tricky to read pattern that got note locked from the side of hz404 that is unfortunately putting them at a slight disadvantage into the final third of the song, but we'll have to see now as we head into the final PI of the song.
Yeah, this final key switches things up from the first half. I think the first half you got a bit more 1/6, you got a bit more like light tech going on. Now it's all about these like longer stream patterns at 210. And all we've seen so far really is just HZ dropping 1/100 here. If no... Oh!
Well, that story did change just a little bit. I mean, not too many objects left into the song. We've got a stream section here, but with the 1/6, a couple more 100s, but I mean, after a miss, still trying to climb back to the 400, barring any major drama, and in fact, I actually don't even think there's enough objects left. We're seeing Shamarin take the first point.
So yeah, so much for me saying we could possibly see a few points being taken by Shamarin here. We're seeing a breakpoint right away on hz404's first pick. Brutal set of misses there on Hidden Hard Rock. Unsure if it was a reading issue, if it's a practice issue, but either way, it's a solid victory for the lower seed.
And the mirroring here of, you know, 3 111 miss versus 11 100 3 miss. And I mean, that kind of tells you that misses hurt. Misses definitely hurt. But with the breakpoint now going to Shamarin to pick with a little bit of early momentum, you know, if the players are evenly matched, which I personally believe that in this particular pool they very much are, that sort of momentum could be pretty drastic. We'll just have to see how both of these players cope with nerves here as we pick free mod 2.
Okay, so going right from one free mod to the other. Now, this is a trickier free mod. This is a very techy map. It is slow. I'd say it's probably more anti-hidden than it is anti-hard rock, but it is brutal either way. And with how good both these players are, I'm pretty sure we're probably just going to see a hidden hard rock performance from both players once again.
Yeah, I believe that's that to be the case as well. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw double mod, if we saw snap pick into free mod 3 with a double mod from both players as well, despite it being more tricky even still. But again, with a couple of the mistakes from both of the players, they might start to feel maybe a little bit of pressure. And now that the OD has jumped just a little bit more to 9.1, it does reduce that timing window for 100s by a couple milliseconds. UR is going to play a big role for both of these players, I think.
Yeah, and this map is brutal to get good accuracy on too. Loads of mixed rhythms that you have to be able to sort out from one another, especially, you know, under the reading influence of hidden hard rock. I think that can be quite tough. So far this intro, there's nothing spooky going on here.
Yeah, the map has yet to warm itself up. But here we're getting to one of the first lower SV sections, although with both HVHR, it's not as low. We see the first accuracy drop coming from Shamarin, just 3 100s though.
Yeah. If it sorts out like last map did, there's probably going to be more of those to come. But HZ still holding an SS about a third of the way through here. Shamarin still the only one with accuracy drops, now at 5 100s. It's about a 10,000 point lead. We do see the SS falling for HZ, actually in a pretty big way. The lead cut down from 5 to 2 100s for hz404.
Yeah, I mean, picking up the 3 100s during the high SV, more broken snap section definitely makes sense. It's actually a pretty strong play from Shamarin there for holding great accuracy through that particular section. Picking up a couple more 100s, though, in the build-up to what I believe is the final PI.
Yeah. Yeah, this is brutal. Those doubles really hurting Shamarin, actually. 100's ballooning pretty hard in that section. It's now up to a 9 100 lead for HZ, who looks pretty comfortable throughout this ending.
Although, again,
oh!
Picking up a miss. I was about to say...
Oh! The combo lead is going to switch it over. I think there's enough time.
Yep. Barring any major drama here.
Oh,
Shamarin picks up the second point there right at the last second with 2 misses. I was just about to say, HZ did have trouble there on the high SV section in the first Ki, so those 2 misses that were picked up there at the end kind of mirrors what had happened there on the first Ki, and actually the point narrowly goes to Shamarin there.
Just a tragic pair of misses there for HZ. And now if I'm Shamarin, I'm just thinking free mod 3, right? Like, well, I think free mod... I mean, free mod 3, I think similarly, is more similar to free mod 1 than free mod 2 even. I think it's a streamier map. I think it's more anti-hard rock. It's got some pretty fast sections.
Right. But there is, I mean, it is currently in the side of hz404 to pick.
Oh, I am all turned around. hz404 probably not going to go free mod 3 in that case.
Yeah, I'm not entirely confident that another free mod is going to get picked. They're losing a breakpoint on the first free mod, and then losing Shamarin's pick from free mod 2. I could potentially see Hidden 1, or even honestly DT2 might even be a solid pick as well.
Nomad 5. Okay, okay. We are seeing the first swing map of the tourney. This is not too difficult when it comes to swing. 136 BPM, so around 204 BPM if you want to get it in swing time. And rhythm isn't too difficult. So I think you can almost approach this just essentially kind of like a tech map. It being OD6 as well should make it easier to act than most of the maps in this pool. It's the lowest OD in the pool, I believe.
Okay. And yeah, I mean it's a swing 5.59 star, and of course star rating in Taiko is very funny at times, so it's a little bit tricky, but we'll just have to we'll have to see how both of these players can approach it. I think nerves at this point may be playing into effect for hz404. We'll have to see if consistency can move past those nerves, because I kind of feel like both of these players are going to treat this more or less as a accuracy tech / consistency map.
Yeah. It's going to be the first time we see either of these players on a map like this, so I am curious to see if either one of these players might have a weak spot exposed here or a strong suit similarly shown. So far,
the intro section here, we're seeing the first accuracy drop from Shamarin, actually.
Yep.
Ooh, a couple more there.
HZ looking pretty comfy here, though the UR isn't super low.
Yeah, I mean, holding a very low and consistent UR on the swing map is very tough, so this is sort of in the realm of what we sort of expect, especially given the caliber of these players. And now we're sort of getting into the higher SV, slightly more interesting patterning and more dense section of the song.
Yeah, some 1/8 showing up as well to kind of contend with, both as like a rhythm switch and just almost even as kind of a pure speed test. Those 1/8s theoretically are like faster than the 1/4s you're going to find in Nomad 2, for instance.
Right now, as we're about to hit the second or the final third of the map here, we're seeing a very solid middle of the timing window performance here by hz404, doing really well to hold the double S.
The second half is brutal though, but those players contending well with it so far. hz404 dropping a few 100s. I was about to say they're in the lead, but that lead has just been shattered. Shamarin gonna drop another 100, so hz404 now in the lead by just 100. Any mistake on their part will swing it over, but if they're able to hold, they will be able to take their first point of the match, and it looks like that is what's going to happen.
By just above 1,000 points there, holding it by the skin of their teeth. Wait, I have to think about that phrase, because that makes no sense to me.
The skin of one's teeth?
Yeah, like what? Are you talking about, like, the plaque?
I mean, mayhaps teeth have skin, and I just, like, lost it very young by eating too much candy.
Fair.
But,
I don't like the dentist.
Oh my goodness, what a pick for hz404. Both players with an incredible performance there. Heart attack inducing drop for them, but they're still able to come out on top. Shamarin now with the pick once again, and they are going to go with the free mod 3, seeing if they can get a clean sweep of that mod pool. So like I said earlier, this is more anti-hard rock, more streamy. I think this is a good pick for Shamarin. I think based on the kinds of performances we've seen from HZ on the other two free mods, the kind of things they've been dropping on, this is a map I'm expecting Shamarin to be able to pull ahead, and I'm like, if HZ had those random misses on the other two free mods, this is a map where those random misses are going to show up again.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not too familiar with this particular map on HDHR. In fact, for HR. So I'm only assuming that the higher SV sections may prove a little bit of a challenge for hz404, at least if there's a lack of practice or potentially just nerves making it more difficult to read those particular sections. But definitely expecting both players to double mod. I think both players are more than capable.
Yeah. The fastest sections in this map get up to around 228 to 236 BPM equivalent.
Okay.
So not too fast, but like that's faster than like either Free Mod 1 or Free Mod 2 ever get.
Right. And yeah, we're kicking it off. Free Mod 3, a snap pick by Shamarin. Probably their most comfortable or confident pick of the match thus far. Just seeing how the performance is sort of laid out from Free Mod 1 and Free Mod 2. Couple early act drops there from the side of HZ. But is
lots of map to go.
Weird intros.
Yeah, now the song has started up properly. And an accuracy drop there from Shamarin, though still the barest of leads for them. And it's getting it's getting traded by HZ here, so still 2 100s in Shamarin's favor. But this is pretty relentless.
Yeah, and we're sort of getting more into kind of the full swing of the song. Yeah, that was about 5-6 100s there on the SV slowdown. And another one on the sort of, again, another weird sort of SV slowdown and weird snapping there.
Yeah, and now 7 100s is the lead for Shamarin. About 10,000 points here. Another 100 dropped on this slower section. Actually, a couple more. So HZ's got some ground to make up. Shamarin has a bit of cushion now for this second half. If they were to make a mistake, they have some padding to fall back on.
Yeah, I would say, honestly, barring any accuracy drops from the side of Shamarin, outside of the one we just saw, if Shamarin can get through the entirety of the Ki section here, I think they can afford a miss.
Yeah. Got about 12,000, 11,500 points in the lead. Pretty good accuracy lead as well. And the map's already wrapping up here. The time for HZ to stage a comeback is quickly evaporating.
You know, we're getting to pretty much one more. Oh, that is an entire no.
Oh, they could afford a miss. I don't think they can afford 3 misses though. That's gonna swing it all the way over.
Actually, that wasn't even a note lock. That was just 3 misses.
Yeah. On the final big stream of the map, 3 misses for Shamarin swings it over to HZ's side. And that is going to be a break point back for HZ. This match is entirely even once again.
Yeah, I mean, sort of definitely a bit of an internal upset there. Like, that was just an unfortunate inability to sort of close out the song. Just the final sort of stream, like literally the last bit, unfortunately just picking up those 3 misses, and it was only 11k of a score difference to the side of HZ on a pick that favored Shamarin. But now moving back to HZ404, getting a little bit of momentum now, especially now that HZ is the person who won 2 points in a row, including just coming off of a break point, now having their own pick. It'll be interesting to see what HZ decides to play.
immediately thinking maybe you go directly towards DT2. We talked about that as a pick that they could look good on earlier. I think maybe also looking towards the hiddens. HZ is a really strong hidden player, but so is Shamarin.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to make that call
I think
at this stage.
I feel like if Hidden's gonna get picked, it's gonna get picked probably after DT or maybe a Nomad, but
Yeah. Nomad 1 is still open.
HR2?
Nomad. Ooh, HR2. Okay, so a map we have not discussed yet. This is, I think, an interesting pick. I think this is a good pick from HZ. I was nervous talking about earlier because we did see HZ dropping some misses on some higher SV sections during the free mods. But HZ has a pretty good advantage over Shamarin when it comes to hard rock ability, especially when it, comes to these like more extreme examples of hard rock ability. And I think this is going to be a good pick for them as long as they can, manage to hold that FC all the way through.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think Hard Rock 2, especially because you don't have to contend with, disappearing notes and an even less of a reaction time. I can see that HZ would pick Hard Rock 2 here and potentially be very comfortable on this pick, so.
Yeah, the key eyes of this map round out right around 220 BPM equivalent, though they spike up a bit higher than that with some fun SV going on through them. But I think what really makes this map more difficult than last week's Hard Rock 2 is just the kind of pattern complexity and pattern length you can expect to see. I think you're expected to read a lot more than you were last week, where the patterns were super, super simple. Ooh! HZ dropping the first couple 100s here, but it's just 2 100s and it is pretty early on.
Yeah, there's quite a bit more of a map to go here, and to be honest, those 2 100s were just on a, slowdown of notes with...
Oh!
In fact, actually, all of those 100s were rushing.
Oh!
2 misses coming from the side of Shamarin there.
Yeah. Despite that difference in 100s there, the misses are going to be by far the most impactful thing, especially they happen pretty much right as HZ was getting to that 400 combo mark, right at the halfway point of the map. Pretty much the worst place you could find misses. We're going to head into this second half here, this second big key eye. HZ now building up a huge lead, about 20,000 points, and that's going to grow more as this combo lead continues to work in his favor. And another miss there from Shamarin is going to make it even harder for any kind of comeback to be staged. Yeah, that is brutal. Into this final section here now, about 40,000 points in the lead for HZ. A couple more 100s dropped by them. Not really going to matter. This lead is huge, and that consistency difference is showing off.
Absolutely. We're in fact actually going to see an S rank on the side of HZ. Despite the 2 100 difference favoring the side of Shamarin, it's just those 3 misses. 2 of them in one particular section, but the fact that the combo was dropped twice spelled a 44K difference. It says right there, I can read.
And a fantastic score there from HZ, 7100 FC. We've been seeing really, really good accuracies from both these players. The misses have been more impactful than the 100s, it feels like.
Absolutely, which is kind of interesting because I would have expected a little bit more of just accuracy differences, but more consistent plays, but just the couple of nerve misses, it seems like, from either side, and to be honest, they could strike at any moment on any player, so definitely showcasing the fact that, you know, this is a very close match for both of these players, and with Shamron picking the Nomad 4,
This is interesting.
a huge
So-
team match.
So I think both these players have the capability to put up really good scores on Gimmick. Last week, though, was interesting. HZ put up a 983k on last week's Nomad 4, which is, by all means, like a very, very good score, but is a score I classify like, as very beatable. If you are someone who can put up like 990 plus K, I think if Shamron's putting up, you know, those kinds of scores in practice, I think that's where this pick is coming from.
Right. But we'll have to see if we can fend off the nerves for both of these players as we move on into a pretty pivotal moment of the match here. If Shamron can pull their pick and hit this point here, tying the score back up, I mean, we've already gone through 6 picks of the pool and a dead even.
Both these players looking pretty comfortable so far. They have practiced this map quite enough to know exactly what's coming at them. These SBs not throwing them off at all. These funny bar lines not throwing them off at all. Not even like little bits of tech thrown in so far. Both these players SSing through this first third here. The score's just kind of flickering between both of them. The first 100 is going to be dropped by Shamron, though, in this slider section.
But it's only one.
Yeah. These sections can be brutal. But both players know exactly what to play, know exactly what to read, and exactly what to look for. God, it's 1-100, but the lead is like less than 1,000 points. In a gimmick map like this that uses like this many slider gimmicks, the combo gets massively inflated in Scorby 2, and I think that kind of causes like very small leads to become even smaller. Like we're seeing the score literally flickering back and forth here.
Yeah, in fact, actually, it is. Well, before the 100 was dropped by Shamron, it was technically 600 in favor of Shamron, actually.
Yeah.
Some sort
throughout
of too.
Throughout this match, Shamron has been hitting more finishers than HZ. Maybe that was contributing, but anyway, HZ just SS'd. I think I didn't want to mention anything just in case, but HZ just SS Nomad 4.
Yeah, golly. I mean,
Good lord.
just shy of 1,500 of a difference. And to be honest, if both players double S'd, Shamron actually would have taken that because I think there were more points from finishers in favor of Shamron, actually. But
that's a break point by 2 100s there for HZ with a phenomenal performance. Now they're firmly in the driver's seat, winning 4 picks in a row after those 2 free mods went Shamron's way. Shamron's got to find some way back into this match, some way to grab back momentum. They probably prefer to do it here on HZ's pick to try to keep the matches even as possible. You do not want to be staring down the barrel of 3 match points in a row. I think HZ has a few pretty good picks left in their pocket to try to close this out. DT2's still there. The hiddens are still there that HZ is so deadly on.
I could definitely see hidden too. That might be, well, if I had to try Yep, I didn't even try. Shouldn't have tried.
It's no, we should not have tried. Every time we say something, it's wrong. We're going no mod 2 instead, the speed no mod pick. I mean, HZ looked really strong on the no mod 2 last weekend. I believe like 1 or 2 100s. They got 999k on it. And I think this is a pretty similar style of map. It's pretty much a check of, can you play 260 BPM and can you play it well? Custom song here by Ardolph, by the way. Shout out to Buff Furry Men.
That's true. N-Wolf mapping, so we gotta have N-Wolf style wallpaper. Feral Dragon calling.
I think this is a pretty interesting map. I think it's somewhat diff spiky. You have like very dense you have like these very dense 260 sections and these like kind of long, less dense sections in between. I think to both catch your breath and also possibly catch you off guard and drop a couple random 100s that could swing the map.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm kind of on the edge of my seat here, just seeing how both of these players are going to be.
First 100 already dropped by HZ.
So unfortunately, we're not going to see the back-to-back double S from HZ here, but there is a lot of map. There's a lot of objects in this particular song, so.
But kind of coming out of that first dense section there, both players did SS that section, but Shamarin's actually going to find a 100 on this slower part afterwards, so it is all evened up between our two players here. 99.9 accuracy on both sides of the screen. Damn near equal URs as well as we get to this second dense section here.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Can both players hold consistent UR, not dropping any sort of, well...
Oh!
I was about to say, neither player rushing nor dragging, but Shamarin just picking up that one extra 100, which is going to favor HZ if... Well, HZ actually just picked up another 100 as well. Luckily not on any of the big notes, so it is still completely tied.
Oh my goodness. Again at 99.9 AC for both players.
Oh goodness, there is not much map left. Less than 15% now.
But another big dense section here for both these players to chew on. A couple 100s dropped by HZ at the end of there. A lot of patterns to go though. This map goes right up until the end here. Shamarin's gonna need to hold on. Both players trade 100s. It's still 2 100s in the favor of Shamarin. That final pattern not going to phase him. And Shamarin takes the breakpoint back from HZ. 4-3. Shamarin, all they have to do is win their own pick here and bring it back to even.
Whew. Yeah, that is very, very close. Just a couple of extra 100s there on the final patterns by HZ, and like even a couple of them were traded by Shamarin, but I mean the 2 100 difference is 2k points to the side of Shamarin with the break point, and now Shamarin to pick could potentially score yet another point and bring it back to a tied game. And this time, I'm not even going to say anything. I'm just going to say Shamarin will pick a map. That way, I'll at least be right.
They're somehow not going to pick a map. Like, they're going to... they're going to do something unfathomable. They're picking tiebreaker. So, I mean, I can only assume this is just coming off of one speed map picking the other. HZ has looked super strong on DT so far, but I mean, Shamron, after all, just put up a 3x100 performance on the other speed map of this map pool.
I mean, here's the thing. DT is a lot harder to act than simply no mod. And, I mean, no mod 2 was decided by two 100s, both S-rank plays. This might have a few more 100s, I feel, but we'll have to see who picks them up and where the differences lie. And hopefully both of these players can keep their combo throughout the songs, because otherwise we'll just have too much drama to even commentate on.
Yeah. I think this is a much bigger accuracy check than No Mod 2 was. No Mod 2, OD 7.5, yes, but this is, I think, equivalent somewhere OD 9.1, 9.2-ish. And the bursts, I think, are a lot, they're a lot more awkward in this. They're a lot trickier to get good accuracy on. That, along with the higher OD, I think is going to be really tricky for both these players to navigate. I'm expecting to see much lower accuracies on both sides as a result.
Yeah, I mean, this is a fairly short map. Only 2 minutes.
Yeah. We should also probably mention this is the third custom song we are hearing this match.
I mean, if this goes to tiebreaker, we're going to be hearing quite a bit of maps.
Two 100s.
Two 100s at different points, and another 100
Yeah.
from HZ.
So 100 in the lead for Shammer right now. Two 100s in the lead. The accuracy holding just a bit better. The UR is actually in the favor of HZ, but that's not going to matter, especially when Shamron's UR is actually dropping like a rock right now in this slightly less dense section.
I mean, the UR is so close for both of these players, it's just going to be a matter of the fact that Shamron's inconsistencies on the UR bar still fall within the range of 300, whereas we're probably seeing a little bit more of a solid brick.
Oh! Yeah, okay.
What I was going to say is that it's a little bit more of a solid brick on the side of HZ, but the inconsistencies, unfortunately, fall to the 100s as we see another 100 get pulled from both players. Only one 100 is separating both of these players here as we get into the final PI section.
Yeah, about 3,000 points in the lead for Shamron, though. I think HZ might have dropped a couple more 100s during Ki sections than Shamron, so they were a bit more impactful. The 100s are completely even now, but Shamron's still in the lead just a bit. I don't think they can survive a 1-100 or 2-100 deficit, but they aren't going to need to. Tied accuracy, but the victory, I believe, in the placement of their 100s and those extra finishers they hit by just over 1,000 points. They take their own pick and bring us back to even.
TB hype.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Potentially TB hype. We'll have to see
Potentially,
how it goes now.
potentially.
As, I mean, HZ, again, in a similar situation towards the third pick of the song, where now coming off of both a breakpoint and then a 0.1 on the side of Shamron, 2 losses in a row, trying to recuperate and recover on their own pick. At this point, now being 4-4, with only one player needing 6 points to win. Nerves is probably at an all-time high for both of these players, especially considering if they want to stay in the winner's bracket. So
yeah. So last time HC was in this situation, we saw them switch it up pretty heavily, going to no mod 5, and then winning by just 2 100s. I wonder what a switch up now would look like. They could go for another techie kind of map. They could go no mod 3 and see if they can just out-ack Shamron. They could go for the hidden picks that both players have been avoiding. They could go for the no mod 1 coin flip. I kind of doubt they do that, but it is one of 4 options remaining on the board to these players. If I had to guess, I'd say we're gonna see a hidden one. If I had to commentator curse here, HZ put up an SS in qualifiers on hidden one. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's possible. I was gonna. Yep.
I should stop
really
talking.
I didn't. So my inkling was towards Nomad 3. I feel like there is a particular reason that HZ is avoiding these hiddens, potentially against Shamarin. Maybe HZ doesn't feel quite as comfortable being able to secure a point and just wants to go with something a little bit more simple, a little bit more clinical, and that would be Nomad 3 and potentially even Nomad 1 getting snap picked from Shamarin after this potential point. So we'll definitely have to see how it goes. I think whichever player wins is definitely going to determine, I think, what Shamarin's final pick is going to be. But the fact that both players are going to be getting the full amount of picks that you can get on a best of 9, 11.
Yeah, this is a pretty brutal tech map. Fremod 2, I think, is the closest we have to it in this pool, and Shamarin was able to take that pick, but this is obviously without the hidden hard rock that both these players were reading. This is just straight up, can you play like brutal mixed rhythms?
To be honest, I've seen more inconsistency from hz404 on more irregular snapping, things like the irregular slowdown snapping and just random snapping switch-ups. I am seeing HZ getting a couple more 100s now. They both trade 100s, so scores are still going to be even, but the fact that both players are not holding double SS as we get through the first quarter of the song.
Ooh.
2 more 100s on the 1-3.
Yeah, but it is going to be traded. Shamarin drops some on that kind of awkward 1-6 pattern there.
And another one on the slow SV.
Now about halfway through this map, HZ has just the barest of a lead on their own pick here. As we gear up to get into the second half of this map here. HZ really wants to hold this lead so they aren't facing match point on Shamarin's pick, but they have just given that lead up. It is now all tied up between these two players heading into this second Ki. Getting even more brutal here. Neither player though. HZ does drop a 100. Shamarin now with the lead. HZ dropped a couple more 100s, but traded with 2 misses from Shamarin. That's huge!
Yeah, that is very, very huge. I don't think there is any tricky section left in the song. This might get taken by HZ here with a runaway.
Yeah, unless we see a really uncharacteristic miss here from HZ, which we do not. HZ is going to be able to take that pick that looked so nail-biting for a while, but those 2 misses from Shamarin do seal it. HZ brings it to match point. Shamarin needs to win their own pick here to force tiebreaker, or HZ will be the one moving on in the winner's bracket.
All right, I will say this right now before we see the chat. I'm thinking Nomad 1.
I'm also thinking Nomad 1. I think both these players might just be too scared, too respectful of the other player. Oh!
There we go. We cursed it. Again.
We cursed it. I don't think we were right once.
Yeah.
The only time I was right was when I forgot who was picking.
But hidden 1. Okay. Interesting choice.
So this is a techie-ish map. It's nowhere close to being as technical as the Nomad 3 or the Fremod 2 are, but it is still, I think, a lot more complicated than last week's Hidden 1, which is essentially can you read like a long stream with low SV? Here, the SV is bumped up just a little bit, and in exchange, the patterns get a lot more complicated to play. So I'm curious to see how both these players cope with this.
We love Jersey Club.
Shamarin did win the Fremont too. If we're talking about like being able to read more complex rhythms with hidden / hard rock on, maybe that's where this is coming from. But Shamarin also, put up a really good score on the hidden one last weekend, actually beating out HZ's score on that map by about 5,000 points. So a couple things possibly going in Shamarin's favor here, though I really don't know if there was a winning pick out of these three. It's every single pick is gonna be a nail biter, just like most of this match has been.
And I mean, especially, you've come to the point where it's the last potential pick of the match. Like, if this is won by Shamarin, it would have went to tiebreaker anyway. So this is the last picks either of these players probably would have wanted to pick for this particular match, and we're just gonna have to see how both of these players can trade off against each other. So kind of kicking things off here. We'll have to see how things get probably towards the first quarter of the song, but right now things are seeming pretty easy breezy for both of these players.
We're into the meat of the map here, but both players looking comfy. UR advantage is in Shamarin's favor, but that looks to be evening out as the map continues.
First accuracy drop there coming from Shamarin, but it's only 1/100. We've seen that both of these players are capable of stringing together 100s, reading a pattern just a little too fast or slow. Anything can definitely happen, and there are a lot of 1/6 in this particular song. Now we're heading into a couple of SV finishers.
Yeah.
Fun little big notes.
Not throwing off these players, though. They both look so comfortable on hidden. This is the skill that both these players were afraid the other would show. A couple more 100s dropped by Shamarin, though. HZ still holding the SS. HZ still holding 1/100.
We've got
Into the
a
key
third
right
of
now.
the song left, just about 40-ish seconds.
Another 100 dropped by HZ. It's only 1/100 in their favor now. Any mistake, any slip up will flip that score lead over to Shamarin and guaranteed tiebreaker. But if HZ is able to hold or Shamarin finds a slip up, actually the score lead, the finisher diff is enough. Even with just 1/100, the finisher diff is enough to flip it over on its own. HZ actually is going to need to hope Shamarin finds a mistake somewhere. Like, by 57 points, it is in Shamarin's favor just off of those finishers. Oh, this would be tragic.
We're going to have to see some rock-solid performance here at the very end of the map. But
oh my goodness. This slow section, though. This slow section. It's so easy to drop a 100 here. Both these players.
And with a
points!
57-point difference, we see tiebreaker.
Oh my
Finisher
god!
Diff. Big notes. Trolling once more.
Oh my god. I am losing my actual marbles. We are going to tiebreaker.
Oh, that must be devastating for hz404. The fact that, it's one less 100, but big notes got to be big notes. They got to troll, and especially with the big note getting missed, I believe just after the 50% mark of the song.
Yeah.
Like, it couldn't have been closer.
We've seen the foreshadowing all match, the finisher diff showing up all match, and when Shamarin needed it most, it mattered. Oh, the conviction of Shamarin. See what I did there? I think that's pretty good.
I was trying to think of something to say that would just completely breeze over that. But unfortunately, I gotta sleep. So
This is
I'm not smart right now.
This is, I think, going to be very interesting. So this is at least in my opinion, a very stream-focused kind of tiebreaker. If we look at the streamier maps we've seen so far, the Free Mod 3 went in HC's direction. We never saw the No Mod 1. Maybe if you want to consider No Mod 2 kind of streamy, I believe that also went in HC's direction, though not by a lot. We never saw the Hidden 2. We never saw the Hard Rock 1. So I'd say this is HC favored. I mean, generally when you have like a skill cap pushing tiebreaker, you just favor the high seed anyway. I think it's also going to be interesting to see what mods these players are going to put on.
I was just about to mention, I, funnily enough, would not be surprised if both of these players are going to hit the double mod on this. But, with that being said, it is near 7-star SR. It is the hardest map of the pool, and 5 minutes of HDHR is brutal. I could see a much more comfortable Hidden from both of these players, but...
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, that 60k difference if one person's doing 2 mod and one person's doing 1 doesn't matter. They're both doing 1.
Yep.
Which is much safer, for sure.
I know there's been some talk about slower sections in this map being pretty tricky with Hidden, but we'll have to see how these players cope with it. I think what else is interesting to note too is tiebreakers are generally the least practiced map in a pool. I think a lot of players probably just like, you know, you play through it once, maybe twice. Some players like literally won't open up the tiebreakers if they don't have that much time to practice. So you could potentially see a lot more mistakes, and I think that's the kind of thing that prevents them from going Hidden Hard Rock here. I think to put Hidden Hard Rock on a map this hard, you'd want to have a bunch of practice put in that they just probably didn't think they need to. I can't imagine either of them pictured this map going to tiebreaker. Start ourselves off 190 BPM streams with some 1.6 mixed in to start us off here. A couple 100s dropped by both sides. The slight accuracy lead going to HZ early. But this is a long map.
That was a 100 on a big note. Let's hope, you know, we don't use this Mickey Mouse tool.
Actually seeing Shamron drop quite a few more 100s in HZ here. Though, by quite a few, I do just mean 7. The accuracies are still pretty good from both players here, though HZ's starting to build up a bit of a lead here.
Just 100s here and there from the side of Shamron, and I mean, only 3 from HZ, the most recent 100 coming from them, but I mean, 3 versus 10 100s is a sizable difference, but when there's this slow section that doubles HZ's 100 count, as well as, I mean, the sheer amount of objects in a tiebreaker.
Yep. We are now slowing down here. And now we are into a 150 BPM section here. This is a more techie section, I think a less hidden favored section as well. Both these players finding some more accuracy struggles here. Lead down to about 3 100s now, 2 100s now for HZ as they find a bit of struggle here.
Just a little bit of a different story. In fact, actually, roles are getting reversed here.
Whoa!
More 100s, nearly evening there for a second, but during that 1-8 mono, we did see more 100s coming from the side of Shamron, and now that the song is speeding back up, just a couple more 100s again on the side of Shamron. It's just both. Okay.
Oh, okay. The accuracy lead now in Shamron's favor, but they were trading back and forth. The BPM in this section is variable. It is like rising steadily, and I think that's what's throwing both of these players off here. And now we are into this kind of slow transition section before we hit the finale. Both players finding a bit of trouble here holding accuracy with hidden.
Yeah,
Two
wow.
100s in favor of Shamarin, but this final section is brutal. It starts at 200 BPM, ramps up all the way to 240 by the time the map is done. This is the hardest section of the map. Lots of mistakes to be made. 100 already dropped by Shamarin here. So a couple more traded back on those 1-6 at the end. And now we're into the finale. 200 BPM ramping up slowly to 240. We saw the BPM changes earlier causing accuracy drops. Now the BPM changes will happen in the midst of pretty difficult patterns to make your way through. Both these players need to be cognizant. They need to be ready. They need to be on their toes for anything. And both of them are holding so far.
Oh, in the 1/3 section, HZ picking up a couple more 100s. I mean, nerves must be at an all-time high. And this is barring the fact that both of these players probably aren't playing with UI, so oh my goodness! That is a pretty heavy note lock there.
No!
On the side of Cameron.
That's brutal. The 100s being dropped by HZ don't really matter too much anymore. Shamarin dropping. Oh! No! HZ, hold!
Wait,
HZ, the slow section! The slow section! It's good. I don't know if it's enough to flip it back over. I don't know if there's enough combo on Shamarin's side. The 100s keep getting dropped by both players. Another miss is getting dropped by Shamarin.
Wow. Okay. Well, just do that at the end.
I'm gonna pass out. Oh my god. I have to run directly into a brick wall. Holy moly. HZ wins that by just not even the skin of his teeth. The atoms lying underneath the plaque. Holy.
I mean, both players absolutely fantastic scores there. Accuracy very close, and again, there's a lot of objects in this map, but I mean, that could have went either way throughout the entirety of that match. An absolute nail biter and a fantastic way to start off this weekend of EGTS matches. Tune in when I can pull up the schedule.
I mean, given the density of matches this weekend, probably like
2 hours? 1 hour?
Oh, I'm matches. 1 hour from now for Zedox and Yuki Neko. To mention, hz404 will be continuing on to the winners bracket, going to face the winner of Ulko and Polima 03 in the round of 16 next weekend. Shamarin, unfortunately, going to drop down to the losers bracket after that valiant effort. They are going to face the winner of Zedox and Yuki Neko, the match that is coming up very, very soon. So until then, I suggest you all catch your breaths, get some water, get some food. This is shaping up to be a really exciting weekend.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for tuning in and watching the very first match of the weekend. I'm Wadsy. I was joined alongside Bronze Crank as my co-anchor here. And yeah, if we don't catch you later, hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Adiosu.